The National Cosmetology Association presents Capturing the Male Market. Hair America's Leonardo Guliati demonstrates a variety of techniques with clippers, razors, and scissors that work especially well on your male clientele. From a top that is too short to holes in the nape area, you'll learn how to fix problem spots with ease and efficiency. Your mastery of these techniques will help you not only capture the male market, but keep them coming back for more. There are many combs in the market. These are a few we will show you. For example, when you use the clipper over comb technique, as we will show you later, you need a comb that is easy to manage, therefore making it easier to cut the hair. If you use a comb that is too wide, it becomes difficult to cut around the ears. Similarly, when the comb is too small, the clipper is then bigger than the comb, which can enhance mistakes. Using a comb with a contrasting color to the client's hair will help you to avoid mistakes. For a blonde, use the dark comb, and for a brunette, use the white colored comb. Using this technique will make it easier to see the hair. On this model, there are several challenges for us. For one, the sides are too long compared to the hair on the top of the head. Since the top is too short, and by bringing the hair down, his face looks too round. To fix this, cut the sides shorter and leave the top longer, and bring the hair up as opposed to down, therefore elongating the face. In the back, we see that there are several holes in the nape area. If this is cut too short, it will appear to have more holes because the hair does not grow through this area. To correct this, we can taper through the nape and even out the lightness and blend it in with the darkness. This is the clipper over comb technique, and as you can see, the white comb is being used. This technique is when the clipper moves faster than the comb. The comb moves slowly and is held in this manner. In this, all you have to do is pick up the hair and cut. As you can see, we're leaving it shorter in this area and longer in this part. By using the comb size, it is easier to cut around the ears. When using this technique, place the clipper over the comb like so. Don't use it in this manner. Remember to lay it flat from the comb to the clipper. This will help prevent making mistakes. We finish up the sides on the opposite side. We need to keep the length on the top, however, the hair is too thick. Therefore, a texturizing technique is needed. This is the notching technique. The ends will be soft, giving the hair versatility. The hair can stand up or be messy. By texturizing in this manner, the result would be a straight line. In this case, we do not want this effect. The look desired is soft and very natural. Place the clipper at a 45-degree angle and cut. This will allow the hair to have more mobility and will move easier. In the front, grab the hair in this manner and cut. Outlining is very important. In this case, the client does not have any sideburns. If sideburns were present, a length to here is suggested. However, in this case, we can clean up the area. This is called the candy cane effect. Pull the ear down and cut freehand with the clipper and bring it up. When doing this, remember to have a thin blade in the clipper. A wider blade will not allow the correct finish. Never go too high in the back. Instead, finish with touch-ups. After outlining, shave around the ear with a razor. This will give the client a much sharper line. Always water down the skin. Using the razor on dry skin will pull the client's skin too much. When using the razor, place a finger on the head and use the razor to pull the hair up and out, giving the sharper line. Make sure to clean around the ears in this manner. Leaving it as is makes the haircut look unfinished. Also, remember to use the razor in a downward motion so you will not cut the client. Motioning from side to side will cut the client. Repeat on the opposite side. Now, clean the edges. If the neckline is thin, leave the length longer. If not, cut the neckline shorter. To make sure the hair is even, comb the hair up as you blow it dry. Once the contour is done, check the evenness of the haircut. In this case, we will trim a little. To finish, wet the hair and place gel into the roots. Although this was not a drastic change, this cut gives him more versatility. There are many different types of shears. Just as there are different types of combs for different work, there are different shears for different work. Our next demonstrated technique is the scissor over comb. For this, you will need a long shear with a very fine point. These are the two we will use because they both have a very pointy tip and the shears are longer than the others. This is how to properly hold the shear when you cut by moving the thumb only. If you move both parts of the hand, then you will lose control and will not be able to do the technique correctly. Also, you will need a wide tooth comb. Like the clipper over comb technique, the scissor moves faster than the comb. Wherever the comb goes, the shear follows. They work together uniformly. Remember to cut with the whole shear, not just with the tip. The comb needs to be wider and longer to spread the hair out. If you use a small comb, the hair will chunk together, making it hard to cut. You can start with a longer comb. However, when you cut the shorter hair, you can use a smaller comb. This will help make a tapering effect. Start at the bottom to have 0 elevation and go up, giving more length. Here we are not cutting too much because his hair is short enough. Once you finish cutting with a large comb, switch to a small comb. Use this comb only 1 1/2 inches from the neckline. Do not go all the way up the back of the head form. It may seem we are cutting almost nothing, which is what should be happening. We are cutting a few hairs that will make a big difference in the look. Do the same technique around the neckline and the sides, making the line very soft. After using this comb, move to a smaller comb. Take out the little lines of the neckline that you cannot remove with the larger combs. This will give you a nice taper. Once you're finished with the comb, you can use the freehand style to eliminate the lines from zero elevation, working your way up the head form. If you do not feel comfortable using freehand, place your finger like so and cut in this manner. Outlining is very important. Once you are finished with the technique, you can use the same outlining technique as with the clippers, the candy cane effect. Once the outline is done and is shaved with a razor, proceed to the top of the head. Since this model's hair is very thick, texturizing is needed. There are several different ways to do this. First, texturize with the scissor over comb by picking up the hair and cutting like this. Minimum texturizing will make the hair move better so it is not flat and thick. Second, pick up the hair and cutting across. Texturize the hair with whatever style you are comfortable with. Remember, the thicker the hair, the more texturizing is needed. When blowing the hair dry, make sure to use the tip of the nozzle. It's very important for air direction. By not using it, the air will go everywhere and you will not have control. Also, blow dry the hair the way you want it to fall. The blow dryer also follows the brush. Always use the hotter heat selection. By using the colder setting, the hair will not blend as well. Let the hair cool off, then brush it out. By blowing dry the hair, you can see what you still need to cut off, what you have to fix, and see where the hairs fall into place. You cannot see this when the hair is wet because it is flat. When it is dry, you can see what it's going to look like. Once the cut is done, apply gel and finish the style. This look can be very professional and is easy to work with. This client has a receding hairline on the front and on the top, but his hair is thick on the sides. We'll give him a professional look by keeping the top fuller and softening up the sides. The best way to achieve this is with the razor because it leaves the hair soft. Pick up the hair and slide down with the razor at a 45-degree angle. Don't put too much pressure on the razor, making it flow softly. The angle of the hair and how close it is placed to the head will determine the length. The more degree you put into the blade, the more hair you will cut. At 45 degrees, you will cut more hair than at a 90-degree angle. Here, we're mainly cutting the bulk. Place the razor 1/2 inch from the roots. Any closer and the hair will stand straight up. Once the length is achieved, texturize the hair. This is called the rotation technique. The comb picks up the hair and the razor cuts it. This is being cut at a 70-degree angle, so less is being cut. Remember, when using a razor, the hair must be wet or the razor will pull and strip the hair and not cut it. After texturizing, move to the top of the head. Pick up the hair, place the razor on your finger and pull up. As you can see, the line is straight. You will not cut your finger unless you move the razor from side to side. Remember, what the client sees the most is the frontal line. Make sure it is an even line. Pick up the hair, place the razor on your finger and pull straight down. Cut the entire frontal line like this. Use the same technique around the ears for softness. Reshape the ends to the contour. As with any other haircut, the lines must be clean. Here, we are using a clipper to trim the ends outlining the hair. Once the line is done, clean with a razor. When blowing the hair dry, pick up the hair in this manner and move the blow dryer in the opposite direction. This will create more volume. Do this on both sides of the parting. Pick up the hair and blow dry the roots. You want to keep the volume on the top to make the hair look fuller and give more balance. Once the hair is dry and set in the style, go back and reshape the ends. When using a razor for the cut, always use a scissor to trim the ends. If the hair is not trimmed after blown dry, the hair is more likely to split. By using a scissor, everything can be reshaped if needed. After reshaping, style the hair. This type of comb will help eliminate the lines. When using this type of comb, always spray the hair first. For this type of business look, you need to watch the details of the hairstyle. Spray again and style for the finished look. For our final demonstration, we have the same hair challenges. The top is too short for the sides, making his hair look too rounded. Therefore, we will create a different look by going shorter on the sides and keeping the length on the top. He has a very long face, and if the sides are too short, it will make his face look even longer. We will cut shorter to longer and keep the length through here. For this haircut, we'll use all of the techniques previously shown, starting with the clipper over comb, then scissor over comb, and some razor work interchangeably. Depending on the look you want to achieve, you can always interchange the tools. You don't always have to use one tool on one haircut. Here we begin with the clipper over comb technique. You will notice we're using a black comb on his blonde hair. Remember to use a contrast color comb. Use this same technique throughout the sides and back. Once the technique is done, do the contour or the outline. Here, we are keeping longer sideburns using the candy cane effect. Follow the contour throughout the perimeter. As you can see, the hair is thick in this area. Use the scissor over comb technique to remove some of the bulk. Lightly cut out the ends. Remember, we want to keep it full through here, so we will not cut too much. Use this technique throughout the head shape. We want to keep the top long. Here, we want to texturize it using the razor. Mostly texturize through this area, and as we work to the front, we want to leave it the same length, only a little thinner. To do this, grab the hair and texturize it. This makes the hair look and feel softer. Trim the ends by placing the razor on your finger and pull straight down. After finishing the razor technique, go back and trim the ends with a texturizing shear. Instead of having a blunt line, we will have a very soft line. The hair will interact together and will not be separated lines. It will fall into place nicely. If the hair is still too thick, you can texturize the roots. blow dry the crown area to give more volume. This will give a nice balanced look. A good point about blow drying is that you can see how the hair is falling, and you can see your mistakes, especially with blonde hair. Spending an extra 2 minutes on this will make the cut look much nicer. After blow drying, you can see what the cut is going to look like. Now you can go back and reshape the ends and lines to make sure everything looks nice. Finally, texturize the ends through here to give a very soft line, using a very small comb for detail work. In the neckline, you can texturize freehand. We're cutting very little that will make a difference when the cut is done. Use a texturizing shear to soften the contour of the hair. This will prevent us seeing any weight lines. Be sure not to texturize too close to the skull or the hair will stick up. Texturize only the ends. Apply gel for a soft and shiny look. Piece out the hairs for a nicer look. Piece out the hair and spray.